Hey, it's Ruby. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking all things Ali Hazelwood. I read all of her books, I rated them, and now we're going to rank them. So I definitely want to know, if you've read these, what is your ranking? Definitely leave it down below because we're all different. We all like different things. And disclaimer, if my number one is your number six and my number six is your number one, it's okay. We all like different things, and that's what's cool about it. That's what's cool about reading. It's so subjective. So yeah, we're gonna talk about each book, but I'm not gonna spoil anything. I'm gonna keep it brief because of that. I don't want to spoil anything. And then I do have an extra copy of Check and Mate to give away to one of you. So I'm not sure how we're gonna do that yet because it's been a while since I did a giveaway when I used to have my old YouTube channel. So I'll think about it and I'll tell you before the video ends. But we have all of her books that she's published and we're gonna go through them. So I will say that before I even started reading her books, I knew that I was probably gonna like them, but I didn't think that I would love them. And that very much happened to be true. I do intend to do this with Emily Henry's books also and other authors, but I feel like I will love Emily Henry's books and I knew that I would just like these. So I could be wrong. Maybe I will hate every single one of Emily Henry's books, even though I've read Happy Place and loved it. It is one of my favorite books of all time. At this point, I just love it. But it's very much because it's personal to me. So yeah, anyway, let's get into these. Let's start off at the bottom at number 6 and make our way up to number 1. At number 6, we have a book that I expected to be number 6, and that is Loathe to Love You. This is a collection of 3 short stories that were bound into one book, and then at the end we have a bonus chapter from the 3 dudes' perspectives. I figured that this wasn't going to be amazing because each little story is a little over 100 pages long. Like, this is the first one and it was 122 pages long, so they couldn't be fully fleshed out. It was really rushed, and things have to be pretty insta-lovey when it's that rushed, so keep that in mind when you pick this up. But first up, we have a group of friends. There's 3 friends and they went to college together to get their PhDs. Recently, they graduated and they all went their separate ways. One of them went to New York, one of them went to Texas, and then one of them went to DC. But they still talk all the time. They FaceTime. They still very much are best friends, which was nice. But in the first one, we follow Mara, and she is an environmental engineer. She ends up inheriting a house from her PhD mentor, which is crazy to me. They must have been very, very close because I don't have a single professor that would have given me anything. They would have been like, who are you? But yeah, she gets a whole ass house from this lady. And at the will, she finds out, or the will reading, she finds out that she only owns half the house. The other half is owned by a relative of her professor's, but she figures that she can live at this house because she just got her dream job at DC and it's expensive and she still has no income because she hasn't started the job. So she figures, I'll live there for a bit till I get my bearings, till I get some income, and it'll be okay. When she gets there though, he is living there and she didn't expect this. So she meets him and he immediately writes her a check, buys her out, and is like, get the fuck out. And she obviously is like, I'm not going anywhere. So things get tense. But yeah, that is what happens here essentially. Like I said, I'm not gonna spoil them for you, but that's how we're set up, right? Second story, Sadie and Eric, they're both civil engineers in New York. She is part of a little small engineering company that focuses on sustainability and like eco-friendly building, and he's part of a huge company that's just eating up all the little companies. And the way that they meet is that they work in the same building. His company has like 2 floors and hers has a little room because it's small. And needless to say, they're rivals. This one to me was pretty boring. There's miscommunication in there, which was annoying. And had they just communicated, we probably wouldn't have a story, as often happens with miscommunication. But I just really didn't like this one at all. And then the last one was probably my favorite of the three, even though it still wasn't great, but it was probably my favorite of the three. And we follow Hannah, who is a NASA aerospace engineer. When she was getting her PhD, one of her assignments was to interview someone who had her dream job. And so Mara, the first friend, was like, I have a cousin and he works at NASA. She didn't really know this guy. It was a distant cousin, but she gives Hannah his info and she meets him and she does her paper and all that. And they kind of have a little something, but nothing comes of it. Fast forward 5 years later, she starts her dream job with NASA and he's there and they reconnect. So that is the gist of this. Like I said, the stories are super short, so they're not fully fleshed out, and because of that I gave this 2 stars. Coming in at number 5, we have Love on the Brain. This is her second STEMness novel. If you're not familiar with Ali Hazelwood, she writes mostly novels that revolve around STEM, and she's pretty well known for that. She actually has a new one coming out later this year, but this was the second one that she wrote, and I was really excited about it because, again, NASA was going to be involved, and I was that kid that wanted to be an astronaut when she grew up because she was obsessed with space. So I thought I was going to love this one, and unfortunately it fell pretty flat to me. I felt like the story was just boring. Our characters were boring. Everything to me was just boring and bland and predictable. Even the big bad was boring. It didn't give me much. So in this one we follow B, who is a scientist, and she ends up having to work with her college enemy Levi, who is an engineer, and the reason is because she's working for the NIH, I think, and he works for NASA, and there's this grant money they get awarded, but it has to be used together in collaboration. And so they send her to Houston to NASA to work with Levi, and things are just rocky because she thinks he hates her. He thinks that she's married. Miscommunication. There's also secondary miscommunication because she is actually a really famous Twitter user in the science community, and there's miscommunication with that too. Miscommunication, 2.5 stars. That's all we'll say about this one. At number 4, we have the OG, the first one she published and what started it all for her, The Love Hypothesis. I've heard people say that this was Raylo fan fiction, and I don't know much about Raylo. I have watched all those movies, but I'm not like a super fan. However, I don't see how this is Raylo fan fiction other than they look like them and he's grumpy. Other than that, I mean, it's a story in STEM. So for this one, we have fake dating, which happens to be, at least right now, my favorite romance trope. I freaking love fake dating, and I think the fact that that was in here just made me like it because we had fake dating. So we follow Olive, who is a 3rd-year PhD student, and she's going through a couple of things. First of all, she needs to find someone to give her grant money so that she can continue her research and graduate. Secondly, she was dating this guy that she didn't even like, but she just dated him because why not? And she breaks up with him, and she realizes that he really likes her roommate. I'm not sure if she's her roommate, actually, her best friend, and her best friend really likes him, and she's like, go for it. Like, if you two like each other, go for it. But neither one of them makes the move because, like, friend code, girl code, like, she just doesn't want to overstep or, you know, cross the line. And Olive's telling her, I don't care, I don't like him, go for it. So she ends up telling her that she's going on a date anyway. She's moved on, she has a new someone, and the friend doesn't really believe her. She's like, I'm going out today, and she does go out, but by herself, and she's sitting at the restaurant or the cafe, wherever she goes, can't remember, and she sees a friend coming and she freaks out. So she literally grabs the first guy that she sees and she asks him, can I kiss you? Doesn't even wait for this guy to say yes, no, who are you? She just kisses him. And when she pulls back, she realizes that she, because this is her well, not her professor, but he is a very famous professor at her college. And she's just mortified. He's also very hated. So he's kind of infamous because he is a jerk. He's a jerk to all the students because he just has no filter. He will just tell you how it is, and he does not care for anybody's feelings. So they end up getting into this fake relationship because they both get something out of it, and I really liked it. The first half was slow. I did like the second half better, but I really like the characters. I like their friends. Adam's friend Holden and Olive's friend, I forgot his name. Let's see if I can just spot it. Malcolm, I think that's it. They were really cute. I really liked them and their friendships with our main characters. So yeah, I actually like this one. I gave it 3 stars, and I think that I would definitely be rereading this one because of the fake dating. I just love fake dating. It's just so fun to me. People are so awkward and they get put into these compromising situations, and I eat that up. At number 3, we have Check and Mate. This is her YA debut, but I will say that they are 16 and 18 for like 2 pages, and then our book starts and they are 18 and 20 respectively. So I feel like this wasn't super juvenile. It wasn't, they're not in high school, you know? So keep that in mind. The smut scenes are fade to black, and there's not like a whole bunch. It's not like it's happening all the time, but the little bit that does happen, it is fade to black. So I just wanted to point out that it's not super juvenile, but technically it is YA. So in this one we follow Mallory and Nolan. Mallory's had a tough life. She grew up very loved and very close to her dad, who was a chess pro, and because of that he showed her everything, and she became a little chess prodigy, loved chess, and she had a falling out with her dad because of reasons, and then he passed away. So she ended up giving up chess and taking up the position of the head of her household because her mom got chronic illness and she has 2 sisters, so she is the provider of her family. Much to her dismay, she is not reproachful to her family, but she's tired, and if you read it you will understand. Like, she's doing so much. She's not even going to college because she has to stay home and take care of them. So she's going through it. But one day, her best friend, who is a part of the local chess club with her, convinces her to join this tournament because she needs to put together a team before she goes off to college. And she's like, this is our last hurrah. This is the last time we'll be together before I move away. And so she kind of guilts her into it, and she goes and ends up beating the #1 player in the world and completely freaks out and leaves, and her story kind of takes off from there. So she's kind of thrust back into the chess world. Ironically, my favorite part of this was not the romance, not any of that. It was the chess, and your girl doesn't even know how to play chess. So I thought that was interesting. But every time they were at a tournament or an open or whatever playing chess, I really liked it. So I don't know, I thought it was a cool read. I've read it twice at this point and I liked it both times, so I definitely recommend this one. And like I said, I will give away a copy of this one. I don't know how to do it. I guess first of all, if you want to get a copy of this or enter to get one, give the video a thumbs up, be a subscriber of the channel, and then leave a comment down below letting me know what is your favorite romance book in general. It doesn't have to be Ali Hazelwood, just your favorite romance book in general, because I've said it before, but I've been so into the genre recently and I feel like it is becoming a new obsession. It's like getting up there with fantasy for me. I really love it, except for dark romance. That's just not for me, but everything else I feel like I've really enjoyed. So I ended up giving this one 4 stars and our number 3 spot. At number 2, the runner-up is Love Theoretically. This is her latest in the STEMness novels. She does have that new one coming out later this year, but this one's the latest one recently published. And I really like this one. Are any of these great? No, but I really did enjoy this one. There was a little bit in here that I didn't like, and that was when the main character's problems that she's dealing with come to light. But that's just because I'm an emotional cripple, so maybe you wouldn't mind. But I was like, really? Like, get over it. Very insensitive of me, I know. But I read these just for a goofy, silly time. So needless to say, that didn't deter me from really liking this book. We follow Elsie, who is a physicist, and at the beginning of the book we find out that she's a professor. She graduated with her PhD and was really struggling to find work. So her mentor, who she holds in the highest of esteem, she loves her mentor, ended up pulling some strings to get her some little side gigs as a professor, but she has to go to all these colleges. It's just so overwhelming to her. Not only that, but she doesn't even get health insurance, and she's a type 1 diabetic, so she has to buy insulin, and it's so expensive. So she is going through it, and because of that, she also does this side hustle, this side gig of being a fake dater, a professional fake dater. She even works for a company and everything. And they have this policy where the fake daters are not supposed to fake date a client for more than 2 dates, and then they have to cut them off. But she befriends this guy Greg, and she's very endeared to him. He's very sweet, and she feels bad for him because he has this crap family, and she helps him kind of navigate his family in social situations like parties and gatherings, and she likes him. They're friends. So he has a brother who is what she thinks is an asshole, and he's always asking about her, and he thinks she's a gold digger. He just thinks something's off about her, and he's right, but nobody knows it. However, she gets her dream job interview at MIT, and they're having this preliminary dinner before all the interviews start with like different professors in the physics department, and who shows up but the brother. And she's wondering what he's doing there, he's wondering what she's doing there, and our story takes off from there. It's really fun. I really liked it. There's a couple things going on, but I felt like it was just very simple, very easy to follow along, very quick to read. I liked it. It was a fun time. So I gave this one also 4 stars, but I did rate it a little higher than Check and Mate in the rankings because I did like it a little bit more. I liked her. She was funny, and they were always bantering. They were always kind of throwing things at each other, and I really liked that. And they were a lot more chill. So I think that's why I put this one above that one, because in that one the guy fell first and fell hard, and he's like all about her, obsessed from the get-go. And in this one, they very much are not enemies, but they are rivals, and I like. And then at number 1, if you've been keeping track, it's Bride. I really like this. Did I love it? No, but I had such a fun time. It definitely reminded me of my youth, reading Twilight and Vampire Academy and House of Night. This follows Misery, and Misery is a vampire, and you find out pretty early on in the book that she was what we call a collateral, and a collateral is someone that is exchanged between species in order to keep the peace. So she was a vampire collateral, and she got traded at 8 years old with a human collateral, and that was their way of maintaining peace. So if either one of them stepped out of line, they were allowed to kill the little child. So that threat was like always looming, you know what I mean? And these children are important children because they're the children of prominent leaders for both the humans and the vampires. So Misery gets shipped out at age 8. And at age 18, she's going to be seemingly done with her collateral ship and be replaced by somebody new, a new child. And that does happen. But literally, page 1, she gets married off to the werewolf Alpha. Her dad tells her that she's going to be married to him, and she agrees because she is gonna benefit from this in her own way. There's a little mystery going on her part, and so she agrees to do this, seemingly entering into a 4-life collateral ship now with the werewolves. So poor girl, she's just the little sacrifice to everyone. But it was fun. She's really funny. She's really sassy, and I liked her quips with Lo, the werewolf alpha. There's so much going on in this, and none of it was fully fleshed out because it's pretty short. But it didn't really bother me. Like, would I have wanted to see a little bit more of the politics? Yes. But it didn't fully bother me, which I found surprising. But I think it's because I went into this with low expectations. I went into all of these with low expectations and ended up having a good time with most. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars, I think, which is definitely high, maybe too high, but it's okay. I'm gonna stick with this. And so yeah, that is our ranking. I'm really excited to jump into the Emily Henry books. I think that's gonna be really fun. Definitely, if you want to enter for that check and mate copy, do that. And I guess in 1 week I will go down to the comments and use just a random comment sorter to choose a random comment as the winner. And be sure to turn on post notifications so that when I message you, if you were chosen, you answer, because if I don't hear from you in like 24 hours, I'll move on to someone else. And yeah, thanks so much for spending time with me. As always, if you did enjoy today's video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon with another one.